This is my first little slide here. What we're going to be talking about is artificial grids, artificial realities, artificial timelines, and architecture versus the organic grids, realities, timelines, and architecture, and knowing the difference as a facilitator. And we're also going to be talking about Stargate mechanics and how do Stargates function and how can we work with them for grid work. And how can working with them define and sharpen your skills needed for grid work, because the planetary stargates themselves make powerful landing sites, extraction sites, target locations for grid work. So working with their mechanics psychically, energetically, spiritually can really enhance your remote view abilities and your bilocation awareness as well. So I think they are really the key piece for starseeds, indigos, those with their sixth strand of DNA that is activated to really tune into these power sources, these vortexes, these evolutionary sites of energy in the planet that are kind of like our powering stations to do this work, and so much more than just that. So yeah, they're really, really important, and we're going to dive into all of Let's go ahead and look at the next slide here. My lovely picture of the gun pointing towards the Earth. So this is a very fundamental aspect to really thoroughly understand the grid work that we do. And that is what is artificial and man-made and what is organic. Because this applies in all aspects to fundamental laws and principles all the way to planetary grid architecture. What is the difference between them and why does this matter so much? Okay, so organic realities, organic timelines, organic grids is what is done and created in accordance with natural order. What is inherent and cohesive within and carries the architecture of organic life, the true flower of life. What is nurturing and nutritious, all the way from mother's breast milk to crystal waterfalls that are going to purify your spirit and wholeness. It is a oneness with all existence. That really is what the organic term is defining. What is organic is good for the earth. What is organic is good for the human spirit and for the evolution of sovereignty of humanity. It doesn't seek to corrupt, destroy, decay, or kill. It is in the constant flux of eternal life and the living, and it connects into the flow of eternal flow of life. And essentially, it represents the original organic angelic templating of the earth, both planetary and biologically. There is a multitude of organic architecture in the planetary grids. Many of the stargates, all of the stargates, the chakras, the earth chakras, the 13D mother arcing sites, the ley lines, the organic crystal caverns, the selenite caverns in Chihuahua, Mexico, basically the diamond mines, all of the rare gem caverns as well, like Moldavite caverns, emerald caverns, things like this. All of these things exemplify this organic quality. And if you need to know what these things are in terms of terms, go back and study the Gridworker glossary and the definitions that are on my website under the coursework tab and under Gridwork glossary. So I've been trying to do my best to update that glossary with every course class that I'm teaching, so that way you can go in and just read terms. Reading terms will expand your consciousness and will keep you in with all of the vocabulary, because especially if you're new to this and you're coming into this not knowing what these things mean, this will really, really help you as a guide. But essentially, organic alignment allows us to stay in the eternal moment of the now presence while simultaneously traveling forward towards our true north position, which is the conscious evolution towards spiritual ascension. This evolution therein supports the organicness of the human biospiritual field in the planet. What is artificial, okay, and what is man-made realities, man-made timelines, grids, stargates, okay, man-made stargates, more like hijacked stargates, okay, because I think even everything that's man-made is desecrating something that is organic, or siphoning or drawing the energy from that. So what is artificial and man-made is produced by human beings, right? It's produced by aliens, alien technology, AI, beast machines and machines, rather than occurring naturally, especially as a copy of something natural. So everything that's artificial and man-made is a copy of something natural. So everything that is artificial, reversal, anti-life, man-made is a copy, a hijack, a siphon, a replica, an imposter, an invader of what is organic. Even if some things artificial do not appear to hold negative qualities, it's still a copy of what is natural in a neutral state. So what is artificial becomes the hosted playing ground. And this is where all of the playing ground takes place for that domination, for that control, for that manipulation, and for corruption, mostly. Therein sometimes making it very tricky to see it, because we have these polarity grids, we have these frequency fences, we have these doubled aspects that are invisible, and also the invader artificial systems match the original templating, so they blend in. So this is particularly true when it comes to the black magic grids, when it comes to the polarity grids, when it comes to scatter radiation grids and control overlays. I'm going to talk more about what control overlays are. You may have seen my Saturn Black Tesseract Cube video that I did. And I talked about how that inner Earth Saturnian templating intelligence is numerologically and geometrically, I guess, interlane or matching the templating of the original organic grid structures of the Tiamat grid. So this is why you can't really, people can't see it, right? It blends in. So these are intelligence fields that are simply consciousness with an agenda, and they know how to hide in what appears to be natural. And I can tell you why this matters as a grid worker and as a facilitator, to be keen on this understanding, to be very sharp to this dualism. And it's because our role as a grid worker, okay, and many of our tasks and assignments and missions is to restore, is to rehabilitate, it is to rescue and extract that negative and that dark and that artificial energy out of the earth and plug it back into the organic principles and structures. So we are the planetary rescue missions. We are the planetary rehabilitation team. And on a lot of levels, we are that. So I also want to be clear that this isn't everyone's role as a grid worker. is to do these specific kinds of work. Some will simply just be Stargate encoders or have just personal missions and personal activations within this that they are set out to do in their own divine timing. But as a facilitator, you will be the 0 point of many different types of missions. Yes, thank you. I love what you're telling me here in the comments, that you've been waiting for this, for me to do this. So yes, thank you. I've been waiting for me to do this as well, to be honest. I feel like this course is kind of the culmination of everything I've been doing for so long. So I'm just really excited to share it with you guys, like finally put stuff into something that I can really just share with everybody else. It just makes sense to keep progressing like this. And also I can see future courses as well, where this just continues to grow and expand. But as a facilitator, you will be the 0 point of many of these different types of missions. So you must be aware of all of it. As a facilitator, it's your role to kind of be that really open mind and that open eye that can see where everyone else is within and the roles that everyone else is playing. So be sure to study the 4 basic starseed missions in the vocabulary. Now, this is in itself not all the kinds of types of missions. Be aware that as you start facilitating your own groups, that you're going to be interpreting all kinds of new things. New things are going to be coming up all the time. New different approaches, new different technologies, new different missions, different ways of going about things. The field work itself will be different every single time, whether you're doing it remotely or whether you're doing it boots on the ground. But we work heavily with the organic and restored crystal planetary technology. We are working to restore cosmic laws. We're working to restore universal laws and principles. And what is the solar logos consciousness? We work on behalf of these things. We are transmitters of this because we are this and we're connected to this, to the cosmic Christ and Sophia energy, guardian energy, seraphim, Elohim, Oraphim, celestial guardians. This is what we connect into and is at the core of this work. So this is what we stand for. We have to know what we stand for as facilitators. This is really important. It matters for us to understand how important the sovereign spiritual God, free spiritual organic human is, the indigo, the star seeds, and those that came in with their 6 strands of DNA activated. We are here to share a common position. So we're not, separated in this. Like we work together in this. We are here together to restore the health and consciousness of the land, restore the human spirit's connection to the land, and restore what is sacred, and bring forth the new earth prophecy together as we work on this spiritually across the land. And that's what gridworking ultimately is about. So some of us have very big future tasks, such as building light cities, healing temples, growing sacred communities. We are harvesting a new earth way of life through this gridworking. So the differences in these aspects are something you must know as a facilitator, as it's ultimately what drives your core base intention for the grid work itself, and therefore sustains that intention for the group work. You are the anchor of that intention for the group as the facilitator. So you have to be the force that recognizes deviation in intention and mission and can recorrect that course. You have to have an eye for that we are going off course, or we are opening ourselves up to levels of infiltration or something that is nefarious or artificial or hijacked, right? You have to be able to identify when those things are happening. So having the strong foundation of intention will allow you to be able to hold that position. And we are in luck because the differences in these principles are being highly amplified at this time because a very powerful Atlantean polarized grid is running at this time. These are the times we get to observe and differentiate the difference between frequency positive and negative, light and dark, and good and bad. You guys have seen my Atlantean polarity grid template 1. Some of you may see it, some of you may have not. If you've seen my recent update where I went into this templating, you'll want to go back and watch that. I suggest you watch that if you haven't. Maybe Noko can put that up in the chat, just so you can have deeper understanding of the picture. I don't really have time to go into it fully today. I can tell you that someone recently has asked me, why do you focus on the negative aspects of the grids? Okay, that's kind of a question that I get sometimes from these types of videos that I put out. And I want to answer that here in this group setting because I want to make sure that people, I guess, that are closer on my inner circle do have an understanding of my intent and where I'm coming from. My answer to this question is it's actually not true that I only focus on the negative. If one goes back and watches all of the content on my channel that I put out, I have spent several videos talking about New Earth prophecy grid templates, everything that's coming from the light. I do go back and forth between talking about what is in the light and what is in the dark. I'm definitely riding the ascension waves of that. But I really do feel that it would be irresponsible of me to only focus on the light aspects. I'm really driven to expose what is done in the dark. I'm really driven to shine a light what is playing out in the unseen. I do feel like the majority of the people on YouTube don't do that at all. And so I just feel like there's a lot of spiritual bypassing. And I feel like it would be also feeding more of those particular controlled narratives and oppositional narratives that are planted to corral the collective under a particular understanding to keep them within a frequency fence in the higher consciousness community. So I want to break past those barriers. I want to obliterate the particular narratives that are of spiritual bypassing and also wishful, hopeful, cognitive dissonance, also crucifixion wounding, right? All of these things where we have this propagation of the savior consciousness that takes a lot of the power out of our own hands. I don't like to fly like that. I'm a hardcore truth seeker, you guys. I carry a bow and arrow in my field. Like I am carrying the scales of justice in my light body templating. I think I even have the scales of justice behind me. You can see it up there on my top shelf. I mean, I have those throughout my house. Like it is what I stand for. So, ultimately, I just feel that the real ones here will see that in me and stick with me through all of my shenanigans. Yes, true warrior. That's what it is. It's just, it's, if you are a true warrior, you are going to expand yourself into all realms and ultimately just seek truth. Ultimately, it is to bring consciousness. It is to make people think. Even when I'm doing some of these videos, with the last one I just put out about the celebrities and the canceled concerts and all of the hijacking of the weight loss drug that celebrities are taking away from pre-diabetics and people with obesity. I'm talking about these things because I want to bring awareness. I think it's really, really important. But there has been a massive shift in the polarized ratios between artificial timelines and organic timelines in the overall field architecture. The more awareness of this has become increasingly more apparent because of the polarity shift bodies. They're more felt, and separation between them is also more seen. So as consciousness rises on the planet, the true mechanics of our universal system does expose itself more. And this includes the functioning mechanics of stargates, vortexes, sacred sites, and holographic spiritual biogeography and man-made and reversal stargates. And as a result of that, there are current events happening in this multidimensional fields that have heightened war over timelines from various competing race lineage, star families, countries, militaries, and so on, the checkerboard war. And I highlighted this 9-month war that's playing out between Russia and Ukraine. But my point is, the current conflict underneath all of these grid templates that are kind of almost like, some of these are more surface level, environmental level, atmospheric level. It's really more internal. It's really truly over the warfare over the universal tree of life technologies. Okay, an ancient war that has hijacked many spiritual groups, okay, currently causing current warfares. This ultimately took off most predominantly in ancient Egypt with the Tothian Wars, but this goes all the way back to the second seeding cataclysm. Okay, it is where there are reactivated witch hunts, demonizing, debunking, spiritual bypassing, seek and destroy, greed and glorification, victimizer programs. The self-righteous ego fools itself again, and people serve a master instead of themselves. Okay, it's a war over who you serve. And Universal Tree of Life Technologies has power over who and which one serves. So endlessly, these technologies are highly sought after by negative groups to claim, hijack, and reclaim this for themselves. Okay, rebrand this for themselves. When the truth is, it is meant for you to claim within your own sovereignty. Remember, I was talking about how the Universal Tree of Life is the gateway to your Akashic records. It is the gateway to all contracts you've ever taken. The Universal Tree of Life is the ultimate spiritual holographic geometric architecture inside of the earth and inside of the human body. The Universal Tree of Life is level 1 of the light body field, and your Universal Tree of Life connects into the Planetary Universal Tree of Life. And so as you self-actualize that, it's a progression of activation and actually defines spiritual evolution over centuries of human civilization that you are tapping into within yourself. Universal Tree of Life is a technology that activates the true God worlds within you. It actually activates the stairway to heaven that takes you into the eternal living atom. And so you also act as a transmission board to your galactic inheritance through that Universal Tree of Life. It is a gateway to your hall of records and all contracts you've ever taken. So this is a very important geomancy within your field and within the planetary body. But because of all of this knowledge, it also means that the extraction point as a grid worker and as a facilitator for clearing, for extracting negative energies, for restoring the grids, for rehabilitating the grids, is for clearing reversals, planetary, to extract artificial alien machinery, global imprints, rings of Saturn, black goo, collapsing down of wormholes to fallen systems. This has to be done through this inner earth geometric spiritual structure. Okay, because this is what's really ultimately under attack at the core. So when you're working on these gate systems, you're doing this work, you want to be pulling or extracting all the way to that structure. This Universal Tree of Life that you see here, there's many, many different structures of it within here, and I might explain some of this here, this is a roadmap template to inner earth stargates in your holographic geography. Okay, each sphere is comprised of radial templates inside the Earth body. Okay, this structure continues to expand within you. What I mean by that is your universal tree of life is a growing structure. And now this is what this is at the core of the warfare. Just trying to think how to explain this. So some of the patrons are reporting they can't access the live. Did I miss posting something for them, or how they're supposed to access the meeting? Maybe can you repost up this link to this Zoom class and see if that works? Noko, I'll have you just communicate with Bart as well. He can definitely help you with this right now. I'll send him a message. Okay, so we're working right now, guys, to help everyone who can't get in. Just know that. So if you guys are talking to anyone who can't get in, just let them know that we are working to try and help them right now. So I will keep on moving along. I think it can be technical issues. I know there is a password. The password is grid222. Okay. But what I mean, guys, about the structure keeps on growing. So I'll just stop my screen share for a second. So this was something that I actually drew up a while ago as I was studying the expansion of the universal tree of life. And how I kind of began to see this structure was you had multiple universal trees of life that as you activated one template of that, it was expanding out into more diverse extensions and structures of the universal tree of life. Within each one of these spheres, how this is actually working as a radial diversity template. So each one of these spheres are representing a different radial body of intelligence. Okay, and so what I kind of think the ultimate goal as a starseed on this earth, as an indigo, is you are waking up to become aware of that diversification and that differentiation of that radial identity within these template bodies. As these structures actually expand out, this is taking you more quantum into your bone density templates. Okay, this is going into the bone because this is where we hold protein identity, genetic identity. Okay, and this is where you are going energetically, these holographic geometric structures. This is where they're upholding. So you, as a starseed, you're basically becoming everything that's in the universe. You're becoming everything that's in the cosmos that is living here on this earth and is holding an intelligence field here on this earth, and you are activating these templates. And so this is what allows you to read the differentiation in that radial diversification. This is mechanics that are important, even though this is advanced mechanics, are important to how diverse the Stargates themselves are operating and running and functioning. So if you can understand and utilize these types of maps, these are mapping systems. These are mapping systems that can take you into those inner worlds, into those inner structures inside the earth, and utilize gate systems, utilize them for navigation, psychically, remotely, and through bilocation experiences, astral experiences. But yes, so universal tree of life technologies, the expanded versions of this is very, very complex. It's something that I'd love to dive in and teach sometime at some point, at a more deeper level. But it's important because it is the underlying fundamentals to Stargate mechanics and to navigating the inner Earth fields. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reshare this again. Now, this is important again because we have to extract from the universal tree of life of the Earth and restore the inner Earth spiritual mechanics and structures. We have to restore the Earth's universal tree of life as a grid worker, right? I'm talking about this because this goes beyond the anatomy of the Earth, of just things that we work with spiritually to connect into from the surface level, right? So things like the mountains and the vortexes in the mountains, the canyons, the sacred sites, the earth chakras, the stargates themselves, which are hyper-dimensional access points to these things, rivers, lakes, what we see in terms of what might be perceived as, just regular basic grid working. Right now, what we're talking about is the true inner mechanics of what we're actually doing on a much deeper level of this spiritual grid work. So we're going in and extracting and healing and rehabilitating and restoring the inner Earth principles, the inner Earth universal tree of life, the Earth's Merkaba body, the Earth's pillars, the Earth's rod and staff, and the Earth's inner Earth stargates. And you can even work amongst the inner Earth realms and worlds, such as Agartha. Okay, I've done group grid sessions in the past where I've done a lot of landing in through the sun or going up and in. Some people like to go down and up. And as a facilitator, you'll get to guide that, like how you want to bring your group into the Earth fields. Do you want to go through something, like the sun, or do you want to go down through inner Earth and come up and emerge? So these are all things to think about in ways in which you're doing and running your grid work, and how you're also going about extracting and restoring the inner Earth spiritual principles. This will actually make your grid work much more powerful. So yeah, I keep talking about this because it's really important that we know how to truly extract as a facilitator what you're connecting into. So that way you can actually teach others how to truly restore the spiritual body of the Earth. Which means when you do extract, you go to the core to do it through the gate systems, as this is what everything is connected to, the universal tree of life. And so this can a lot of time require recommended clearings also prior to your group work, even for yourself. Things like doing universal tree of life clearings, J seal removals, okay, doing entity clearing, simply just working with the architecture itself, activating the architecture within you and also within your group participants, the same as you would the chakra system. So working with these structures, knowing that these structures are inherent and within you. But where the ancient war comes in, okay, so everything that is artificial and utilizing the artificial flower of life encoding, again, recognizing the differentiation between what is organic and what is not, maintains the base 10 architecture. So it's actually functioning off of these lower forms of the universal tree of life. Okay, this is a Templar Masonic Baphomet Finkelstein illumined mysticism, okay? And it's masquerading as many things that are also convoluted. So it separates the connection so many cannot connect the dots. But these 10 based architecture of the universal tree of life are considered, I think it's an entropic system. I think entropic is the word. Where it's like enclosed. There's limitations with it. It's only can expand so far, and then it collapses down on itself. Essentially, it's not an eternal living light body. It's not an eternal living structure. And it's also mixed with the black and red AI spiral waves of consciousness. So this 10 base structure usually plugs into control overlays and also into the inverted universal tree of life structures. So what could be perceived as the Quillipith or the negative or the dark universal tree of life. So that's just something to get into that is kind of at the core of all of the grid work. It definitely requires, I think, a lot more detailed explanation to truly understand this. But I think we just kind of skimmed over some of the basics of it. Now, control overlays. Okay, so these are more designed and more evolved frequency fences that go beyond the polarity grid template 1. Okay, so moving from the polarity grid template 1 scatter radiation template that manifests itself from the black cube tesseract. Okay, and when I'm talking about these things, I'm talking about the existence of these from within a particular timeline on this earth is when they manifested, and then they're still running in an underlying current. Are they the total reality of our experience? No, but they do maintain fields here, okay, that reality does manifest in and through. Okay, and so the control overlays, these are really moving into some of the radial systems that operate the control systems, such as the Aquila systems. Okay, Aquila systems are militarized, strong patriarchy systems. We also have the 4-quadrant hybridization society systems, which come through the Watchers, come through the 4 royal stars, which are called Watcher technologies. These come through Templar and religious egregores of control and Watcher technologies. Okay, what you see in this picture here, this is a map that I had charted a while back. And what I did was I looked at the military of these countries, and I looked at the national animals and their flags and their coat of arms, right? And I extracted, I guess, so to speak, from those principles within these countries, the common celestial signature. Okay, so everything that's in blue is ran by the Aquila grid system. Okay, so Aquila, the eagle, again, strong military patriarchy, domination, control. This is a collective radial intelligence field that is hosting control matrices that manifests from the polarity grid template 1. Okay. So this is more of an, instead of an artificial, well, it is artificial and man-made, but it's also considered control. Okay. In the orange, I have the 4-quadrant hybridization society. So anything that's coming from signatures of the Watchers, or even the lion signature, all of these things. So this is coming through this one. We also have the Draco Orion grid. So this is anything coming through dragon symbolism, which is basically China, Indonesia, and the Welsh part of the UK. What do I mean by the word radial? Radial means nuclear, it's nuclear intelligence, and nuclear radial intelligence is what celestial intelligence is. So the celestial bodies, the diversification of the identity of the celestial bodies. So Aquila is a celestial nation. But it's also a radial signature. It's just an intelligence field. It is ultra nuclear frequency. So now with these control grids, what you see on the left here, this is considered control. On the right, I just put this one. This is my Lemurian light grid template fabric 1. This is one that I channeled when I was pulling up the information or what the organic fabric, light fabric templating would look like from the Lemurian timeline. So this one is according to a timeline that's running in the Earth's field. This is considered an organic template. This is just an organic light matrixy template. Now you have these control matrices that are overlaying the organic light matrixy templates and controlling that energy, or siphoning, hijacking, or invading. Now with the control grids, reversal currents run through the technology controlled sections of the planetary field, which what's happening in these control grids is it's forcing splitting. Okay, it's implementing the artificial timelines that project the artificial spaces or phantom matrices to run at the reversal stargates. Places like the Vatican, places like the Kaaba, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, CERN, Area 49, Area 51, Area 52. All of the Masonic symbolism running in the earth, basically, which is most of the political institutions. This is where the Masonic symbolism runs the strongest, through obelisk networks, through cutting off Medusa's head and placing that somewhere. That seems to be a common theme in multiple places. World financial banking institutions, the World Economic Forum, the World Death Organization, etc. Basically, corrupt corporations, everything that's based on an organic temple. You know, I could go on about all these particular places, but essentially they represent a link or connection point into the phantom matrix, which is considered a virtual reality hologram with a finite energy source. So again, a system that's collapsing down on itself and consuming itself, or reverting food source energy to something else. The entropic structure is parasitic, so it must rely upon an external power source through which to siphon energy to continue to exist. So in which case their power source is the herd, right? Also the earth-based organic systems. This is why and how the Archangel Michael high dragon nodal points in the earth are technically hijacked with some of the most nefarious things that the world is battling at this time, such as CERN. CERN is not too far off from the Archangel Michael ley line. The Vatican is sitting basically on the Archangel Michael ley line. They're hijacking these organic temples. So basically, in order to comprehend the difference between technology-induced artificial timelines and naturally occurring organic timelines, is to basically just understand the fundamentals of these principles and how all of this is working. Currently, planet Earth's inhabitants are undergoing a war over these timelines and the invading forces of the negative, who are using that artificial tree of life as a manifestation grid, right? They're using these lower forms of the universal tree of life. Now, we have particular facets of the universal tree of life that are considered the organic structures, right? They're considered the universal. So the artificial architecture that uses the base 10 mechanics to project out the artificial timelines and phantom realities versus the original divine blueprint of creation that uses the 12 to 13. And I say 12 to 13 because the 12-12 is the electrical masculine impulse. The 13-13 is the magnetic feminine. So it is oscillating between these two blueprints of creation that use the 12-13 mechanics that naturally generate organic matrices and organic timelines connected to universal laws. The base 12-13 mechanics represent the natural order of the universal time matrix and organic creation, sustaining the inner architecture that connects directly to God's source fields with unlimited supply of consciousness energy. And really, the dimensions in which human beings operate on this earth is within the 12 to 13 dimensional spectrum. That is what is most relative to their existence. Anything beyond that is great, but it's also becomes less relative to reality here. And anything below 10 and below is limiting the energy structures, especially if it cuts off that connection. So over multiple millions of years, there have been many warring conflicts that generated deviations from this natural order and caused an assortment of aberrations such as planetary grid damage and consciousness body fragmentation throughout the universe. The primary historical timeline events in human galactic history that generated the most serious damage and the most rips in the fabric of our space-time was during the Lyran Wars. So this is what led to the utter destruction of our entire planetary consciousness. And then this went on to propagate several invasions from the Draco and Orion systems and caused a lot of headaches during the Egyptian and Sumerian invasion as well. So I think one has to really personally embody the sovereignty of their universal tree of life and its organic structure to embody the organic God's sovereign and free blueprint. And that itself is what gives the extra awareness around what is artificial and what is not. So I hope all of that is making sense. So for those on the Gridwork mission path and indigo types, those with the 6th strand activated, we have re-accessed the pre-impact of Tiamat holographic matrices. So this is really, really important because essentially as you embody that free blueprint, and you're activating to all of these things, you're re-accessing the pre-impact of the Tiamat holographic matrices. So this is the pre-fall of man Terran organic field instruction sets. Okay, as an instructor, as a facilitator, this is really important because this is what gives you that awareness to reinstall everything back into the organic fields, the organic instruction sets, which have reset the consciousness evolution pathway into organic timelines for Terran souls. Okay, so for those of us that are carrying this, we are existing from this organic timeline. So this is those of us who can consciously recall our Lemurian Akashic records and access planetary hall of records accounts of things. We carry the organic codes, the light matrices, and future blueprints in our bodies. And this is where and how I came to interpret the Lemurian light grid templating of this timeline. So you guys may have seen the updates that I did defining all of these light grid templates of the Lemurian timeline, future prophecy timelines. And I channel and designed all of these. It's because I carry these blueprints in my own body. They were activated and downloaded in my body according to these mechanics. But either way, this is a challenging stage in Gridworker missions of rescuing and reclaiming the 5D organic architecture and principles. But this is what we came here to do. We're reclaiming this from the dimensional splits in the artificial timelines that were pulling the 5D Terran fragments into the phantom realms, and the core Tiamat honeycomb hexagonal templating that is being dominated by that black core tesseract cube, being devoured by that, right? So we have a lot to do as grid workers, gatekeepers, guardians of this earth in restoring the organic versus the artificial. Going by the principles of we build and grow what we nurture and give our energies to, we will not spiritually bypass the corruption, but we will continue to strengthen what needs to be nurtured. We will draw from the organic systems ourselves, upgrade, activate, heal, restore, pray, meditate, transmit, and plug into and encode the stargates, and then work on behalf of the greater global earth-based spiritual vision in that purpose. And this is a major milestone and victory in these timeline wars. is us regaining this knowledge. But it is important to know that the majority of this falls back to Atlantis in the second cataclysm, the second seeding timeline. So knowing spiritual history, galactic history. So this is kind of my representation of the second cataclysm. The second cataclysm was the original hijacking of the organic crystal systems and technology. So this is where all of this corruption comes in. And it's important to know all of this as a facilitator, because you want to know where you're, as a facilitator, the Atlantean timeline field will be your greatest obstacle for healing in sessions as you're working with people. Okay. So knowing the planetary's history in Akash gives us an advantage to that grid work, because we truly do know the source of the degradation in the Earth's memory bodies in the waters of Atlantis, which was a continual progression to overtake and dominate the Earth through a narcissistic, reptilian, Maldek Marduk Nibirian mental body that descended from service to self war planets, setting up the necessary mechanics for total Earth domination. And this is because at the time, Anunnaki joined with Syrian blue races of Sirius B. They were the motivating forces behind Atlantis. The Syrians brought crystalline power artificial generators to the Earth and installed them in 7 primary locations and in 24 subprimary locations. So this is also another thing that's really important to be aware of as a gridwork facilitator, is these locations, those J seals that you see here. Okay, these were installed into artificial selenite rods inside the planet and were encoded with this energy. Okay, which were, this is basically impaling distortions into the rod and staff. It's impaling crucifixion and implants into the rod and staff. Okay, so these are really powerful things to work on, again, as a facilitator in your group work. Sometimes even in some of my sessions, I've literally just done J-seal removals and planetary J-seal removals. Okay, removing more of that collectively. I'm just going to take a little drink of my. I'm really excited because I'm going to make an apple pie for Thanksgiving. I haven't ever made one before myself. I've watched people make them, and I feel like I've done it before in past lives. So I don't know why I haven't ever made one myself. But I'm really excited to do it. So I have all these apples that I'm adding to the cabbage juice, and this time it's a much more tart apple because it was recommended that you use Granny Smith apples for apple pie. So yes, J seals the apple pie. That's how I roll. Sorry, guys. This is multi-dimensionality. Your brain just kind of goes wherever it wants to. I just really have apple pie on my brain. I'm not going to lie. I have been thinking about it, and I've been wanting to eat apple pie for a while. I even got some vanilla bean ice cream to go with it. So yes, super excited. We just baked 3 yesterday. Awesome. Okay, if you really want to go into just going off track here for just a second, I'm also going to make an almond Hershey's pie. It's where you melt down the Hershey bars with marshmallows over graham cracker and whipping cream, and it's going to be madness. It's going to be 2 pies. I'm actually attempting 2 pies. Yes, I'm so excited. I know everybody's ready to eat. We're all hungry. That's funny. Cooking really is a form of magic. It really is. It brings everybody together. It just, you can put so much love in your food, and it just makes everybody happy. Yeah. But getting back into Atlantis here. So what did they utilize? So they utilized the crystal generators, and they siphoned off the second dimensional currents inside of the Earth. what they're hijacking, we're almost to lunch. Don't worry, we're almost there. I'm actually getting close here, so we can go eat. But they're basically siphoning off of the blue flame to direct that as an energy weapon. So that's what they're doing. They're taking the Archangel Michael ley line, they're directing it as an energy weapon. They're utilizing it as an energy weapon. Again, hence why I think the majority of the world's reversal Stargate systems are on that ley line. So this is stuff that's still currently being done. So there's a lot of work here for us to do as grid workers. You can see how globally huge this work is, and why it's so important that I put out a Gridwork Facilitator course is because we got to get people doing this spiritual work on the grids, the healing, the encoding, the extracting, everything, the activating, all of it. There's other passageways that I think they're also hijacking as well, such as the Ark of the Covenant passageways, the Andromedan corridors, the Aurora fields. I mean, these are all hijacked, I think, over in Jerusalem. The Sphinx, okay, all of these particular locations. So I do think things like the Ark of the Covenant is an organic passage system in the Earth's grids. And I think that obviously that's hijacked. I mean, you can see how much distortion is nobody even knows where the Ark of the Covenant is. Technically, we have assumptions, we have ideas about where it is, but we don't actually know. So yes, there's a lot of hijacking that's still going on with these things. I think they're also trying to draw up power from the Hall of Records, the planetary super consciousness of the Earth. Ultimately, they're learning these mechanics of planetary hijacking, because through these technologies, they can do other things, such as hijack the planetary rod and staff over the pillars, the mother arcing systems, take over the planetary Merkaba field. And so the second inundation of Atlantis was all about implementing these technologies, and experimenting with the quality of their technology. And it's from all of these self-proclaimed righteous priests that became mad scientists, obsessed with power and greed. Many explosions from the generators from the Bermuda and the Bimini Islands were implemented to sink land bridges, and proof that these things happened. And connection to the Great Road to Atlantis that was in the Bimini Islands as well. So some of you may have heard of the Bimini Road. It's underneath the water. But essentially, yeah, all of these things have been, so that's another place that needs a lot of work, grid worker wise, is to work on the Bimini Islands. The Fountain of Youth is actually on the Bimini Islands, and kept in secrecy, essentially, basically. But all of this technology still exists today in the landmass memory, in the hijacked crystal technology in crystal caverns, hence the need for grid work at this time and planetary ascension to plug these systems back into the organic systems. There's probably multiple fountains of youth. We can even look at that today when we chart in the 4th class. We can scroll over the Bimini Islands and take a look at the Fountain of Youth. But I found it one day when I was digging into the islands trying to look around. But let's talk about Stargate mechanics for just a little bit here, because I'm seriously getting close to time. Stargate mechanics. So understanding Stargate mechanics is essential to your upgrading and psychic development. Stargates. The Stargates are a vortex of celestial energy wave spectrum that connects to multiple dimensions, multiple timelines, multiple reality fields, and biological functioning sets of ascension waves within universal time-space and evolutionary cycles within the planet. And these Stargates, they create spirals of energy. They create the 3 spirals of creation, which are intergalactic plasma waves from the source field. Stargates also function according to geometry that is unique to each Stargate. some having several running geometry mechanics that govern different realities and planes of existence. Stargates are an organic part of the mechanics of creation. Stargates are where starseeds activate. A starseed who takes on the mission to work with stargates accordingly will carry higher filaments of galactic encoding within their field, their biospiritual biology, which defines and powers the holographic organic architecture in your body and in the planetary body, and the organic D13 current, the magnetic grid, which is the intercrystalline grid and the diamond grid within you. And so these stargates are very, very, very important. This is one that I designed for Machu Picchu. I called it a metallic magnetic 13D Stargate with an icosahedron geometry. And I believe I talked about this when I was there. I put out a big update about this. But every time I go to Stargates, I always try to see into the gate system itself, to actually see the Stargate, see where it's located. How does it sit in the land? Where is it inside of the inner Earth body? They're all kind of placed differently. They all look differently. They all function according to different mechanics. They all function according to different geometry. And so this is important, I think, to know that they're not all the same, that you're going to get a different experience with each one. You're going to get a different upgrade with each one. It's going to affect a different part of your body. It's going to manifest things in your life in different ways. Speak on the Trinity stars. Okay. I think I'm going to mention it here in a minute. Yes. Canada energy is really dense right now. There were seeing a bunch of black cubes in certain areas of Canada, to be honest with you. There were in certain bays, certain areas, there just was a lot of cubes. So the Trinity gates are harvesting and hijacking gates. This is where they're siphoning off of starseeds, indigos, and basically funneling that energy into loose egregores, where they're collecting that energy as a food source. So yeah, it usually happens in areas where there are just a lot of degradation of the magnetic field. So high coastal cities, very popular cities, cities that are overpopulated, where there's a lot of visible polarity, where you have visible extremes, where you have a lot of visible, just a lot of dark humanitarian things like overpopulation of homeless people, drugs, murders, crime, all of these things. This is, there's probably Trinity Gate somewhere close if you're in an area where that's just rampant. Yes, so the universal stargates, we have a lot of different types of these vortexes. Some of them are mother arcing stargate sites, and these are running higher anchors through them. So 13th through 15th density ultra frequency through these sites. Places like Uluru and Bali. I think Easter Islands was one of them, but Easter Islands was just impacted by some sort of attack recently with the fires. So I don't think it's attaining its integrity, so to speak. But we have high organic crystal nodal points all over the world. We have a lot of these places are held in secrecy. A lot of these places are held in protection. And so I think a lot of them are still also coming forward. I think we have new stargates that are being born all the time. And us as humans, like, we're just really catching up to what the planetary field or the planetary body is doing. But yeah, so if you read the terms, you'll get more definition about all of this as well. So that way you can understand the differences between types of chakras, stargates, and mother arcing sites, some of them are one and the same. Some of them hold all of the encoding to all of it. So it just kind of depends. But the planetary Stargate system of the Earth is the Earth's connection points into the galactic and universal realms. So what comes through these gate systems upholds the rest of humanity. They are the basis of the consciousness body, and this was created from the Diamond Network. They hold the original crystal seeds of humanity. Many simultaneous dimensional layers are existing here that connect to layers of the Earth's auric field. I can never see the Earth's auric field so clearly than when I'm tuning into a Stargate. It's very visible. It's very active, and it's, I think, the best way to read the auric field is to either remote into the Stargates and view the Earth's auric field, or go to the Stargates and just absorb the Earth's auric field. You'll be seeing it all day around you like a halo around your head, just spinning. That's how strong the auric field is at these Stargates. So you're really tapping into the Earth's auric, astral, causal, ketheric, and etheric templating at its highest potency at the Stargates. Some of these Stargates were sealed off. Some of them, I think, are closed. Okay, some of them close. I think some of the gates in China, they open and close those because Stargates are also incarnation gates as well, where seed races can come in through these gate systems. So when they close down Stargates, it means they've closed down incarnation in particular celestial bodies, particular radial diversity templates. They've actually closed off the incarnation gate. But they do open up again more progressively during the ascension cycles. Machu Picchu, I have a picture of Machu Picchu. This is one that has never been closed. These gates have stayed open and very protected, very preserved and secret, and very taken care of. And as a guardian and as a facilitator, that's what we are here to do. We're here to protect these amazing, mysterious, immaculate works in the Earth's body that are our connection to the cosmos. The energetic connection and spiritual energy network is very vast in Peru. So this Stargate here runs connections to the Nazca Lines, Lake Titicaca, Rainbow Mountain, and so it's pretty incredible, this particular one. These Stargates have to be plugged back in fully to restore the organic grid. So restoring the organic grid will restore the global universal tree of life. It will rebuild the planetary pillars. It will uphold the spinning planetary spiritual Merkaba body from abuse, from negative beings and aliens that want to control the Earth. This is the thrust of light energy that is necessary to clear those Trinity gates, okay, which are those loose harvesting gate sites. So I just had another picture here. This was Glastonbury. This is considered the heart chakra of the world, also sometimes simultaneously considered the third eye chakra of the world. But this one is running a 12-dimensional Merkaba in terms of its geometry in the land. So this one is very, very heart expansive. So the last thing we're going to do is a solar Stargate activation. So this is a gridworking skill building visualization. This is the 4th Stargate geometric grid synthesis. So for this visualization, we're going to be working with the higher geometrical codes of the sun. We're going to run 40 astral to 12D stellar diamond currents from the planetary geometric grid to and from the sun, to and from our biology, and then interconnected to the Giza pyramids to synthesize our consciousness field and focus in with the remote viewing and the bilocation abilities. So we're going to practice this with the 4th planetary Stargate of Giza. But please know you'll want to attune yourself as much as you possibly can to all of the 12 universal stargates on the Earth. This will vastly expand your consciousness and understanding the Earth's running spiritual system. And this takes time. Okay, I've only attuned myself to like 3 of them because the experiences I have when I just do one are so astronomical, and they carry me through so much time. And there's so much activation within me that happens that it's not something you can just run through. It's something that takes time to intuit all of this deeply and internally. But there are things that you want to look for when you're psychically scanning into stargates and vortexes. These things are the running geometric code. Okay, this might actually be different from you. What you guys see with the ones I've charted, the icosahedron, the 12-dimensional Merkaba. Here in this picture, you can see that I have an octagonal symbolism here in Giza. This is what I seen when I went to these gate sites. So it could be different for you. And I don't want to like say that it has to be this way, because I want to validate what your experiences are. So every stargate will be functioning with those different holographic geographies that rotate in fluctuation, rotation, expansion, contraction at the stargate site itself, inside the stargate and surrounding the landmass. So you want to study, you want to investigate the ancient spiritual energies that are enforced and encoded to the surrounding land, because what that geometry also affects or implies is how consciousness is constructed around it. So it affects the surrounding land. It affects the civilizations that are connected to the Stargate. It affects the communities, the indigenous cultures, ancient traditions, and architecture, the way things are built, the way things function and flow. That's why everywhere you go, all over the world, there's different types of architecture. You look how they're building things down in India. Absolutely crazy, right? The architecture of their ancient stuff. So, you know, the Stargate mechanics and geometry in India is next level. Okay, so that's an experience I definitely want to have. So you want to feel for the type of energy at the Stargate. Is it crystalline? Is it plasma? Is it high magnetism? At Machu Picchu Stargate, it's high magnetism. It's metallic. It's literally the craziest, most magnetic permeability I've ever seen and felt in my life. Or are the stargates more elemental? Are they more just light? Giza was more light. When I went to Giza, it was more of an inverted triangle of light that actually came up through out of the ground. It was more alchemical, more noticeable from far away. And that was what was perceived as most dominant to me at that Stargate site. So you want to take in all of these defining details, whether you're doing it remotely or whether you're doing it there on location. You want to seek to see into the auric field at the Stargate. That's going to give you an indication of the health of the Stargate and the health of the Earth and the planetary body. These are the locations on Earth that you will get to best see in remote view that auric body. So take advantage of that. Observe these things as much as possible when you tune in to the target of focus. So what I put together when I went to the Stargate in Giza was, and I realized the geometry ultimately through the city of Heliopolis, the city of the sun. In Egypt, it is represented by an octagonal shape. They have a double squared, double cubed, double 8-ray star that is carved and stamped all over the infrastructure of the city. And so they say they have like a saying, when a message comes from the heavens, it's heard at Heliopolis, and then it's repeated at Memphis to Ptah, and it's made into a letter. And it's all done at Heliopolis, the city of the sun. And so I really kind of took that ancient knowledge and applied it to what I was interpreting at the Stargate. And so given the meaning and the history of this city, Heliopolis being the city of the sun, I do feel that it is highlighting the solar code activation that has always been there imprinted in the surrounding landmass to the fourth Stargate site. So what I was seeing was that synthesizing and tuning into this octagonal geometric solar grid from the Stargate site accelerated the solar vision quest here into the ultra diamond spectrum, into the white, into the platinum, into the ultra gold frequency color spectrum, and reverberated that from the sun. Because you are reflecting into the holographic geomagnetic ultra spectrum, its most primal universal language and its expression. So this is drawing up the 48 DNA activation spectrum. This attuned your body to the Stargate. That's what you're doing. I'm just basically explaining an attunement process. So the message is, when you use the symbol code that's imprinted in the Stargate, you can activate yourself to the Stargate more in depth. The solar octagonal code, you can use it for pineal synthesis and induction, where you bring the solar geometric code inside the body and then transmit it down your vertical ascension column through your pillar of light. And this helps you to reach the exalted potential within the connection of the frequency you're connecting to into the Stargate location. So I personally feel that we should be decoding this science at every single Stargate on the Earth, every single vortex in the Earth. We should be decoding the mechanics of these Stargates, because this is what will take us to the next level. What I realized is the sacred octagonal solar geometric symbolism here ties directly also into the pyramids. So the four faces of the pyramids, and what you see in this picture here, this is a pyramidal viewpoint of Giza. So what you're seeing is you're looking down on those three pyramids, on the Sphinx, and what you're seeing at the center is the geometry that's running in the gate system. That's what we're going to practice working with. But it connects into the geometry of the pyramids, the four faces of the pyramids, which is an 8-sided structure. So it's octagonal because the pyramids itself exemplify that 8-sided structure. The perfect double square. It's interlinking this and connecting the points that you get in the octagon. So this can be broken down into a lot of multidimensional perspectives from viewing this, again, from the pyramidal perspective, or you can even observe it from the king's chamber as well. When I was there, I took note of this. So all of this is representing octagonal symbolism, meaning the architecture of the pyramids itself was constructed according to the solar geometrics of the Stargate site. So this is how all Stargate sites all over the Earth work, with civilizations, with communities, with sacred architecture. Yes, also they were connected and aligned to the Orion's belt as well. Yes, it all ties in. So what I want you to do is I want you to practice with this attunement. Okay, so I want you to do this 3 times a day, if you can remember, for 1 week. So you can activate to the fourth Stargate if you haven't, or maybe you've already activated to it. But if you haven't, I want you to try this Stargate technology, the Stargate attunement technology, to see if this will open up your visibility or your remote view into the Stargate itself. So you want to do it 3 times a day for 1 week to activate the fourth Stargate. This is in accordance to the rising, the culminating, the highest place in the sky, high noon, and the sun that is setting. So you do it 3 times a day at the beginning sun, middle sun, ending sun. And what you're going to do is you're going to basically align your body to the daily cycle of the sun. And you're going to use the solar geometry by location scale. And you're going to do a pineal induction with the code. And you're going to visually address the gate site and emit the solar geometric codes. Okay, so what we'll just do a practice run. So I'm going to actually pull this off so we can practice this really quick. I just have to find my little diagram. Okay. So we're going to use this to do a pineal induction. And we're going to just attune ourselves to that Stargate. So I'll pull the picture back up so you have this as a visual. But actually, you know what? Let's do the induction of this first. So what we're doing is we're inducting the symbol code, the octagonal symbol code, into our vertical ascension column to attune our frequency to the frequency of the Stargate in Giza. And then this will in turn activate the codes in the body. And then we'll practice remote viewing into the site. So I'll just give you the technique for it, and then I'll have you guys practice this on your own and let me know how this goes for you guys. Let me know the feedback, everything. I'd like to know if this opens up more of the remote view abilities, more of the bilocation experience. So simply what we'll do is, first off, you want to visualize your pillar of light. So you want to bring up your pillar of light. Your pillar of light should go all the way into the grand central sun, all the way down through your chakra system, all the way down into the core of the earth. You're going to take a second to just really visualize that within you. You're standing within it. You are activating that within you. And then you're just going to basically stare at this symbol code for just a moment. You're going to focus on the octagonal symbol, and you're just going to tune your frequency to this geometry. Then you're going to take a nice deep inhale breath, and you're going to inhale that holographic geography into your third eye. So you're actually going to visualize that coming into the third eye. And then you're going to place it on the blackness of the back of your forehead. And you're going to turn it a couple colors. You can either turn it white for the 12th dimensional color wave spectrum, or you can turn it gold for the 9th dimensional color wave spectrum. But you want to see it in white or gold right at the back of your forehead, as if you're using your pineal as like a projector screen. And the screen is the back of your forehead, and you're viewing it right at the back of your forehead. This is how you know you properly inducted the symbol code. Okay, and then I'll share this with you guys so you can have this as a visual. So now that the symbol was synthesized into your body, you should now be receiving the encoding and integrating the energy mechanics from the symbol. So the octagram will bring the body up to the highest attunement of solar geometry at that Stargate. So you're going to inhale and exhale and visualize your pillar of light extending entirely again through your vertical ascension column, entirely through your 13-dimensional avatar body, chakra system down into the core of the earth. You're going to raise that octagonal symbol up 5 inches above your head inside your pillar of light. And then inhale and exhale, and you're just going to run it down through your chakras. Okay, and as it comes down through your chakras, you're going to actually open, clear, and seal those chakras as you bring it down. So you can come down through the crown, open, clear, and seal, down through the third eye, open, clear, and seal, down through the throat chakra, open, clear, and seal, down to the heart chakra, open, clear, and seal, solar plexus, open, clear, and seal, sacral, open, clear, and seal, root, open, clear, and seal. And I say all of this because we are going through that action. Go ahead and send that code all the way down to the star core fire of the earth. Okay, you can see it as the star core fire. You can see it as the black diamond core. Sometimes, however you see that core, you're just going to run that code down there. And then you're going to inhale and bring it back up your pillar. And as you do, you're releasing the symbol code activation to the sun. So you're taking that symbol code all the way back up through your chakras, releasing it from the crown chakra, and you're taking it all the way into the solar sun. You're going to run that symbol code and spin it in the sun, generating the highest solar codes. Now your consciousness has become one with that symbol. Okay, you've now gone into a level of remote view and bilocation where you're actually moving your consciousness now into another location. So you're going to inhale and exhale, and you're going to push that symbol code through the sun, And as you come down the sun, you're going to be bringing that octagonal symbol down slowly through your breath and working it down through the sun. And you're going to be basically hovering over that Stargate. So you're going to be seeing and visualizing yourself now in Egypt, now in Giza. Okay. And you're practicing a bilocation. You're practicing a remote view. Okay. So visually step into that visualization, step into that state and frame of spirit and energy and mind, and prompt your consciousness to engage in that bilocation. See yourself beginning to breathe that octagonal code down and running it down into the Stargate, down from the sun. And what you're doing is you're bringing that octagonal solar code from the sun down through into the Stargate. So you're just taking it down into the landmass, down into the gate system, down into the land. And now this is kind of practicing a landing zone for grid work, right? So we're coming from our bodies, we're coming in through a gate system, we're clearing through the gate system, we're coming through the geometry that activates to the Stargate, and then we're entering into the Stargate using that geometry. And so once the octagonal imprint hits the floor of the Stargate, okay, you can then begin exploring your surroundings interdimensionally. Okay, feeling, observing, viewing, allowing guidance to come forward, and basically exploring the surrounding Stargate site. So you just continue to breathe, open your heart more to receive the solar codes. Okay, so at first, it's really all about bringing the energy in. It's really all about attuning yourself to the Stargate, attuning yourself to the gate system. What do you feel? Feeling is as good as seeing. Okay, feeling, the eyes of the heart. Okay, it actually has been clinically proven that 60% of the neurons in your heart are brain neurons. So what you are feeling is what you are seeing. So don't discredit that intuition of the heart as you tune into that Stargate. Okay, and just take observations. For this, I want you to observe. I want you to have a notebook. I want you to write things down. What do you get? What do you pick up on? What do you receive as you come into that Stargate landing? Okay, you should be integrating all of the solar codes and activating to that Stargate. So this is a quick Stargate attunement that you can do. To come out of it, you can come back the way you came. So you can start to draw the octagonal symbol up from the floor of the Stargate and come back up to the sun. Run the octagonal imprint through the solar sun again. That sun is working as a clearing. Okay, restoring, transforming, transmuting, bringing the octagonal code back through the sun, back down your vertical ascension column pillar of light, back into your body. And then again, you can run those codes from the octagonal symbolism back in the body and integrate more of that solar celestial code from that Stargate, more of that attunement into your chakras, running it back through the chakra system. And then as you bring it down, you can actually close back up the chakras. So come back down to the crown. You want to close, clear, and seal, down through the third eye, close, clear, and seal, down through the throat chakra, close, clear, and seal, down to the heart chakra, close, clear, and seal, solar plexus, close, clear, and seal, sacral, close, clear, and seal, root chakra, close, clear, and seal. And then you can release the visualization. So I know I kind of ran through that a little bit quickly. You might want to go back and re-listen. I think what I'll do is I have a write out for that attunement that I'll actually post up for you guys. So that way you have it in writing. It's a little bit more easy to follow. I think if you have it verbally, you can read it. And it will have the picture of the Stargate attunement and also the geography that we can use to do the induction process as well. It's a little hard for me to gauge where everybody is at to speak this visualization verbally. So I hope it wasn't a little too all over the place. I might have a recorded video for this one. I'll have to double check. If I have it, I will definitely upload it for you guys, most definitely. If not, then maybe I can record it. I'll see if I have some time to record one for that. Yeah, and I'm open now for any question and answers and questions. So yeah, I just want to say this will really help you attune to the gate systems. And you can be self-experimental with this as much as possible. If you're called to another Stargate and you can see the geometry, experiment with that geometry, inducting the geometry, running it through your body, connecting your energy into the Stargate. Practice opening up the etheric waves of consciousness that will get you attuned for remote viewing, that will get you attuned for bilocation. Because this is going to be very important for your Gridwork facilitation, and especially for guiding your group, right? You need to get your group able to do these things. And the thing about this is once you start doing your group grid work, you'll see how quickly everybody upgrades as everybody's doing it and how quickly group work. So somebody could be a beginner and within a couple group grid sessions, they're already on that next level because they're being so quickly activated by what and how everybody else is doing. It's really incredible. It's amazing stuff. Speak of the central sun. So you have the solar sun, and then you have the grand central sun, which I do believe is the metagalactic core. So that's what I'm referring to when I say that. I will add to the definition of what I know about the Ark of the Covenant. I don't know if the Ark of the Covenant is a Stargate. It could be a Stargate. I think it's more of a passageway. I think it's more of a living, energetic passageway that connects into certain points over in Jerusalem and Israel. I do know there is a point called Andromeda's Rock. It's literally like a big rock that they've named Andromeda's Rock out in the middle of the water. I think this is one of the points to the Ark of the Covenant passageways, because I do know that those passageways connect into Andromeda and also the Aurora passageways as well, which the Aurora passageways are what takes us into the 7 higher harmonic universes of creation and all creation energies. It is I think I talked about it in a video. It is the closest we can really get to the sound waves and the light waves of the celestial filaments themselves in the universe here on Earth. How many Stargates are there on Earth? I cannot really answer that, to be honest with you. The ones that I have posted up are listed. There's 12. Those I think are the 12 main universal Stargates, but I think there's a ton more on the Earth that we're just not acknowledging. The Aquilan energies, I think, work in coalitions with Orion groups and Draconian groups, but I do think they are their own separate energies. And they function within their own control systems. Aquilan energies and control matrices are within militarization and politics. It's like an underlying fueling intelligence that is propagating those things here on this Earth, along with Pegasus. Pegasus is one that, yes, see, tens to everyone new. Keelan is similar to Pegasi, yes. Very advanced technologies that are all about colonization, like conquering land, conquering territory, expansion of territory. It's about interplanetary exploration and, yeah, basically conquer. Quest and conquer. So yeah, if you read my blogs on my website, it's where I do put a lot of my writing, where I spend a lot of my time writing all of this and putting as much as I can into it and translating everything to a form of writing. So my blogs is really where you're going to find so much to read, to catch up on, to get you more up on this knowledge. And I'll just keep adding to the glossary. I will remember to do the one on the Ark of the Covenant as much as I have on that.